A lot of home cooks avoid making fried chicken because the task can seem too daunting, but it's not as hard as you think if you take into account a few handy tips. Take chicken from the fridge, dredge, and fry, right? No. Before you do anything to the chicken at all, do yourself a favor and let it sit at room temperature for at least 30 minutes. When you fry cold chicken, the temperature of the oil drops drastically. As a result, the chicken cooks unevenly and you definitely don't want that. Patting your chicken dry with paper towels seems like a small, inconsequential step, but it's actually quite important to do before you get to the dredging stage. By ensuring the surface of the chicken is completely dry, you get an even coating of flour instead of ugly, irregular lumps. Sure, the fried chicken emoji on your iPhone is a drumstick, but that doesn't mean you should only fry up drumsticks. You should make use of all the chicken parts. For large breast pieces, be sure to cut them into smaller chunks so they can cook evenly and at the same rate as the rest of the bird. If you don't want to end up with dry, tasteless chicken, use a well-seasoned brine. It's a surefire way to make any meat cook up tender and succulent. In addition to adding moisture, the brine injects salt into the meat, essentially breaking down the proteins and tenderizing it. Don't skip this crucial step. In addition to seasoning your brine, be sure to season the flour as well. While you can season the dredging flour with whatever spices your heart desires, at the very least you ought to use a liberal amount of good kosher salt and freshly ground black pepper. Fried chicken is best with a light coating of flour. You're going for that light, crispy, addictive crust. Using too much flour for dredging results in wet, soggy, greasy crust. Simply throw your seasoned flour into a large resealable plastic bag, add the chicken pieces, and shake gently. While you might think you need to lug out your biggest pot in order to fry the chicken in gallons of oil, you might be surprised that a big pot isn't necessary for small batch frying. Unless you're making enough fried chicken to service a large crowd, a skillet will do just fine. That way you can easily flip the pieces without scary oil splatters.
You gotta keep on your toes. Toes, that is.
Be sure to fry your chicken in refined oils with high smoking points. The smoking point simply refers to the temperature at which the oil starts to break down and emit unpleasant fumes. Sesame, peanuts, and canola oils are all great for frying chicken. Extra virgin olive oil? Not so much. Invest in a cooking thermometer to make sure you're cooking fried chicken at the right temperature, which is between 300 and 325 degrees Fahrenheit. At this heat, the chicken gets a nice, crisp crust with no burning, and the inside is delightfully cooked through. One of the keys to even cooking is avoiding an overcrowded pan. Work in batches in order to leave plenty of space between chicken pieces. You want to have ample room for flipping the chicken to ensure it's an irresistible golden brown all over. Biting into hot fried chicken is tempting, but you're better served if you wait. You won't burn your mouth eating piping hot meat, plus the resting time gives the juices a chance to redistribute, rewarding you with super juicy chicken. While many of us instinctively drain fried foods on paper towels so they can absorb the excess oil, fried chicken should be drained on a wire cooling rack. Letting those crispy chicken pieces sit on a wad of paper is one surefire way to create steam, resulting in soggy crust syndrome. After all that hard work, no thank you.
Wow, what a chicken!
Some people swear by saltwater brine for juicy fried chicken, but if you want to avoid the time sink of drying each piece before breading and frying, try buttermilk instead. Buttermilk actually sticks to the chicken better, which helps with the breading while giving the same juicy benefits as brine. Robbie Melvin, who works as a recipe developer for Time Inc. Food Studios, told My Recipes, "Buttermilk is a classic Southern style. Soaking chicken in buttermilk acts as a brine.
Buttermilk in? It's brilliant for marinating the chicken.
If you're not adding cornstarch in your breading, you're missing out on an opportunity to take your crust to the next level. Cornstarch helps keep the chicken tender, which is one reason Bon Appetit recommends using a 50-50 ratio of cornstarch to all-purpose flour, which promises to give your fried chicken an audibly crunchy, beautiful browned exterior. Other chefs suggest skipping the flour entirely and using only cornstarch. But either way, cornstarch is a fried chicken game changer.
Another good trick, I always add cornstarch too.
KFC's secret formula has been debated for years. In 2016, the formula's 11 herbs and spices were supposedly uncovered, but according to a hard-hitting Chicago Tribune expose, even that didn't result in chicken like the Colonel's. Until that is, they added an MSG-based flavor enhancer called Accent. Chicago Tribune reporter Joe Gray wrote that once the MSG was added, our chicken was virtually indistinguishable from the batch bought at KFC. Turns out the answer was right in front of us all along. The chicken just needed a little southern accent.
I think this is the best Kentucky Fried Chicken I ever had.
Logically thinking, it would seem like the sooner you get the breaded chicken into the hot oil, the better your chances of a superior crust, right? Not according to executive chef Ben McLean, who says this will only ensure all that glorious crust falls off with that first bite. The way around that? He spills his secret to the takeout, explaining, "What we do is once we bread it, we let it sit on a rack in the fridge and let air circulate overnight. It'll allow the moisture of the chicken to soak through the breading, and it makes it super tacky, allowing the breading to stick to the meat itself." Frying chicken can be a pain, we get it. But if you've already committed to the oil and the splatter and the mess, frying the same chicken a second time really isn't that big of a deal, is it? And it's totally worth the effort.
Who loves chicken? You do! We do! Delicious chicken, swing on through!
Serious Eats explains that one of the biggest problems with cooking fried chicken is that in order to get the crust as crunchy as possible, you've got to cook it for a long time. And in the process of getting that extra crispy crust, you end up overcooking the meat. No matter how amazing your crust is, nobody will want the dried out chicken underneath. To combat this conundrum, give your chicken its usual dunk in the hot oil, then remove it as you normally would. Let the chicken pieces sit for at least 30 minutes and then fry it again. This way, the meat has had a chance to cool down, and the second trip to the oil bath won't do any harm. It will just make your crust unbelievably crunchy. There's no greater sin than subjecting your leftover fried chicken, which you worked so hard to perfect, to the microwave. To properly reheat your fried chicken, you need to use an oven, and there are a few tricks to ensuring that it's just as good as when you pulled it out of the fryer the first time. First, the chicken should sit out for 30 minutes to 1 hour at room temperature before reheating. This guarantees that all the differently sized pieces will heat evenly. Once the chill is off, put the chicken on top of a wire rack on a baking sheet and cook in a 400-degree oven. Time will vary depending on the size of the pieces, around 16 minutes for breasts and 12 minutes for legs and thighs. And then...
It's finger licking good!